Hello everybody, welcome back. So today's video is basically covering all the odds and ends of the remainder of my knife collection. Some of these probably could have fit in other categories, but at the time it just didn't feel like they would, so I kind of left them out. But these could potentially be in either tactical, all that stuff. So we're just going to cover the rest, call it a day, and then move on to something else. I'm not sure if you guys are over the knife videos, but I'm feeling a little drained by it, so I might be moving on to something a little different after this. But in no particular order, just going to go through these. This is SOG Flash 2, polymer handle. Great knife. I actually like it a lot. I think the ergonomics are a little weird, but they grow on you. Blade shape is amazing. Got a lock, which is a little useless in my opinion. A lot of people hated this knife, and I don't know why. I think it's a pretty cool knife. This could have been EDC, or it could have been a tactical knife. The only thing I'm not real fond of, it's got a little bit of play, and the spring feels and sounds a little cheap. But I've never had it fail on me. It's been good. I've had it for a long time. I don't even think they make this anymore, especially in this configuration or style. But good one. Next is actually a pair, and one of them is a little bit special. So this is the Gerber Gator. Classic hunting knife, rubber overmold, 440C, 420HC, I'm sorry. USA made. Great hunting knife. I did belt carry this for a while. I mean, this is probably one of the most comfortable knives. Beautiful blade shape, hollow ground. Awesome. That is a newer edition. But I also have this one. You're like, well, very minor differences, if any. What makes that one so special? The first production run. My father gave this to me. Still works perfectly, still is just as strong and comfortable as ever. But this is the OG. You know, when you got something right, you can see the grind's a little different on those bevels, but every other dimension's identical. Steel's the same, clip's the same. Branding's a little different. And the original was pinned. You couldn't adjust the pivot, but you don't need to. This thing is rock solid. No wiggle whatsoever. Still smooth, still awesome, still more than capable. I don't use this one much anymore, just because it's a first production run. I want to try and keep its heritage, I guess. But I do have this one, so if I needed to or wanted to use one, I could use the not collector version, I guess. But great knives. This is the original, not original, this is like, I think, the second edition of the Voyager Mini. So they have like an XL, a regular, a mini, and a micro maybe. This is the mini, so it's really, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it a four-finger knife because I don't know if that counts as a finger. Blade shape's awesome, steel's okay. I just could never get into this floatiness here, and I can't really squeeze all my fingers into there comfortably. It works fine if you choke up. I mean, I think that's a perfectly valid way of holding it, but for normal utility tasks, I don't really want to have death grip on this thing. So just casually holding it, I think the reason I never really carried it is this one feels like a little bit of a redhead stepchild over here, just kind of outcast. But the blade's awesome. I, again, love cold steel. I don't think they make this model anymore either. Triad lock, FRN handles, or GRN, I don't remember. Plastic, fancy plastic. Grip is good. I didn't really EDC this one all that much. I kind of fell out of love with it pretty quick with that grip. A little wide, but doable. I would say this is a extremely hard use little knife. I say extremely hard use because of that triad lock. Good stock. You could do a lot of stuff with this one. Certainly isn't going to be as easy or as capable as full-sized Recon 1 or full-size Voyager. Full steel liners in this bad boy. I mean, this is a heavy-duty little knife. Just the ergos are wrong for me. The next one, I both love and I hate. It is a USA-made buck. I think it's called the Bantam. I really wanted to like this knife. It's ultra lightweight. It's got a nice back lock, but it's tip down carry, and that's it. You can't even switch sides. I love the blade shape. I love the grind. 420HC. Here's the issue. It feels cheap as hell. So much wiggle back and forth, up and down. I mean, that lock literally moves when you wiggle this blade. You can feel it. And it's a pinned construction all through. You can't adjust anything, can't fix anything. I wish this was a better knife. If they came out with one with an adjustable pivot, micarta handles, fix the back lock issue, and S35VN, hoo-wee. Ergos are great. Love the ergonomics. It's super lightweight. This had so much potential. Maybe a good first pocket knife for a teenager or something, because you don't really care if they destroy it. But other than that, I don't see much use in it. I wouldn't trust it with my life, at least. Maybe cutting vegetables, opening boxes, stuff like that. But if you hard use your knives, then this is not something I would risk work, life, or anything on. I wish it was a little bit better, but it looks great. So, unfortunately, swing and a miss. This one's interesting. So, in my EDC video, which I will link on screen for you, I actually carry a Freeman button lock or button flipper. This is the same designer as the button flipper when he used to work for Gerber. This is a Gerber Freeman hunting knife. This thing is a tank. There's nothing special. It's all Teflon washers, nothing crazy special here. It's all steel everything with rubber slabs. Liner lock, which is pretty hefty and thick, very smooth. This is a belt carry only. There's no pocket clip, never came with one. But it's got thick, hand-filling handles. It has texture everywhere. Like, you've got a grip from hell on this thing. The only thing that I've had issues with, I've only used it hard a couple of times, and that lock just seems to have bent over a little further than engages the blade. Up until then, though, this thing was pretty hefty. I think this is back in the day Gerber. I think you could still buy these, both folding and fixed blade, but I wouldn't. I think it's a great knife. I think it was a cool stepping stone, but there's just so much better options for both the price, the style, the utility. This thing's heavy. It's not all that strong in the locking, which is a shame because it has that big old beefy stop pin. Easy access everything, steel everything. This could have been a huge winner for Buck as well, or for Gerber, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, just doesn't do it for me anymore. Design's great. I think the execution was just poor. Unfortunate. Here's a duo that I think is wildly underrated, maybe. Ontario Rat. So I have the Rat 1. It's a little odd shape, right? But ergos are fantastic. The way that blade kind of jets up, comes back, wonderful. You got that guy, and you've got the Rat 2, which may be a little bit more EDC friendly for most people. You can see the size comparison on those. I know a handful of folks that love this knife. I am one of those. Phosphor bronze washers in there, super smooth liner lock. I have, believe it or not, beat this thing to hell, used it for all kinds of tasks, and it looks brand new. Even the coating on the pocket clip barely is wearing down. It looks brand new. So smooth. I mean, for the price of this thing, AUS 8 steel on both these guys, nothing wrong with that. But this is a good heavy duty EDC knife. Is it the heaviest duty? No. But I would say for 99% of people, this is more than enough knife, if not too much. This is a fantastic, simple knife. And then you get down to the EDC range where this thing just disappears in your pocket. Unfortunately, this one's tipped down. You can go tip up right side or left side, so it's ambidextrous everything. I kept it tipped down, just never changed it. I think it rides a little lower that way. You've got a little bit of extra space here for the lanyard loop. So I just kept it tipped down, but you can switch it. Both of these knives are that way. I did switch this one though. I would put this in the Hall of Fame of EDC knives. Full flat ground, beautifully executed, strong, extremely durable, comfortable as hell. Even the small one. See, this is actually smaller, I think. Yep, smaller than the Voyager in a lot of respects. Shorter, just a little bit shorter, smaller blade, smaller handle. But this one feels like it melts in your hand, and this one just feels awkward because of that little pinky rest. I would choose this one over the Voyager in terms of just everyday stuff. I think the lock on the triad lock is unbeatable, but strength is not everything on these guys. You've got to consider all aspects. Highly recommend both of these knives. I think these are phenomenal blades. Military, firefighter, EDC, hard use, survival, travel, kitchen. I mean, these are just phenomenal. Highly recommend. The next one, everybody probably knows, Boker AK-74. Mine is the non-spring edition, so it's basically a button lock. When I bought it, it wasn't allowed in my state, so I had to buy it without the spring. I could buy it with the spring, but at this point, I'm not planning on carrying this thing, so this is another one that's a huge win. I think it's phenomenal everyday carry. The only thing is if you hold the button and this only pertains to those who had to take the spring out. But if you hold this button down, you let the blade go in with the button compressed, it actually overextends and will hit that stop pin, or that pin back here, and it actually will damage the blade, which is exactly what I had happen. You can kind of see right there at the tip, maybe. There's a little divot in there. And that's basically what happened. Every single time I was flipping it in and out, it was hitting that and basically it ruined the tip of that blade. But I found out if you just disengage it and then put it in, it'll hit that button again and stop, and it will not hit the blade. But if you push that button in, it allows it to go all the way down. You see that? Pushed in, let go. So something to keep in mind, but can't go wrong. Delicate tip on this guy. AUS 8 steel, all aluminum handles. Again, I use this one quite a bit. I really like it. Still love it. I think it's a win. Huge win. They've got so many variations of this now that you really can't go wrong with any of them. They even have a mini one, but I think this is a better size. So, huge win. I thought I was going to like, oops, sorry, camera. I thought I was going to like this one. This is the Kershaw 1 ton. They have a half ton as well. I thought it was going to be awesome to have a super slim, big, beefy knife, full frame lock. I hate it. Ergos are not even, they're non-existent. Sure, you could cut stuff with it, but it feels like you're trying to cut with a cell phone. I think the blade shape, blade shape is fine. I believe this is an 8CR13 MOV steel. This is very typical Kershaw built. Plastic handles, stainless steel. I guess in theory you could use this as a money clip, but I don't carry cash, so not much anyway. I don't know. I think the very short little stubby handle feels like you're cutting with an arrowhead. If you like that kind of thing, fine, but I don't. I thought I would. On paper, it looked great. Idea was great. Nothing wrong with the build quality. I think it's great, but no, not for me. Too uncomfortable. Here's a win. Buck 112 with the GRN handles or FRN handles. I don't know. Fancy plastic handles. This is a lightweight version. Lock back. Super comfortable. Beautiful clip. Can't go wrong. This one's phenomenal. You could do the 112 or the 110. I think both are good. Only downside is these are pinned per usual buck, so you can't adjust it, but you can flop that pocket clip if you wanted to. 420 HC, USA made, can't go wrong. I really like Buck's 420. So, I mean, this one has a beautiful lockup, unlike the other one. No wiggle, no issues whatsoever. Maybe the handle blade proportions are a little out of whack, but it doesn't bother me because it's so comfortable. It just melts just like the Buck 110 does, or the original Ranger. So this is a great ADC blade as well. I think it's phenomenal. Knocked it out of the park with this one. I also had some big hopes for this one. This is a Spyderco Salt, the H1 steel. The idea of a blade where the steel would never rust, given that I started with a lot of carbon steel blades, was fascinating to me. Bought this, EDC'd it for a while. Like, wait, a blade that gets harder with use that will never rust? That's too good to be true. They're not wrong. That blade never rusted. And I've taken it in water, all kinds of stuff. Got good use on it. Ergos are fine, but it has to be a full flat grind. That thing is way too wedge-like. You want to cut vegetables or slice vegetables, good luck. You'll split an apple like you're using a hatchet. Blade shape's a little odd, but I get it. I may grind that off to make it a perfect point at some point in time. I just haven't yet. I might try and flatten this out a little bit too, because that ridge is pretty harsh. I'm not looking to modify it right now. I don't think I'll carry it ever again. It's just part of my collection now. But other than that, it's typical Spyderco, which is phenomenal. Can't go wrong with Spyderco. Enduras or Delicas. I think Endura's the bigger one. Big thumb hole, which you'd expect from Spyderco. Smooth, strong lockup. Fit finish is phenomenal. Just a little disappointed with the H1. Not the steel itself, but with the grind on this guy. they did a full flat ground and they could get away with it with that H1 steel, I think it'd be a much better knife, and then remove that hump, make it a little bit more pointy. So yeah, maybe a little too good to be true on that one. Still love it. I think it's a great knife, but a couple of flubs on there. This one is a CRKT Jettison. It has a very symmetrical look, which I really like. I actually liked how slim this was. It feels good in the hand. Super smooth flipper. Quiet but strong. And what makes this thing so crazy is that stock on that blade is so thick that it just makes it smooth. Good ergos. The only thing I would say is this is real slick, especially if your hands are wet. But it's beautiful blade shape, and that is some hunk of steel. I really like this. Looks like phosphor bronze in there. Big pivot. Good pocket clip. Heavy. I mean, it's not going to be a lightweight EDC, but I think it's a great one. They actually brought this up quite a bit to slim down the edge. Decent tip on it. Strong, obviously, because it's so thick. I think fit and finish on this is great. Everything feels perfect. Centering is perfect. Nothing really wrong to say about this. I think it's a phenomenal blade. CRKT Jettison. Harder design. I'm not sure exactly what steel this is, but I would have to imagine it's in the 8CR variety. So I actually did modify this. In the original, there's like a hump here. It comes up and then back down. I ground that off. So when I link to this, and you can kind of see my grind marks there, it kind of comes up. There's like a hump there, which I didn't dig. So I made it my own. Much slimmer profile looking now. Much sleeker, better in pocket. Looks a little higher end. It's nice. I think this is one of the most overrated knives I've ever had. The Kershaw Leak. Ken Onion design. Everybody raved over this blade. Everybody raved over it. You might notice something a little odd if you're in the knife biz. This is supposed to be spring assist. I broke it. This is the second one that I've had. The first one I snapped the tip off, I think cutting an orange, believe it or not. Trying to use the tip to peel it, and I guess I just had it the wrong angle and it literally snapped off. Crazy, I know. Or it was an apple. I was trying to slice up an apple, not an orange, and it literally broke the tip off. Like probably to here. I don't know, it was crazy. So I got another one. They replaced it. And then a few weeks after use of that, spring broke. So now it's more of a letter opener. It usually sits in my desk. Sharp. I think it's a good looking knife, but that is way too delicate. That tip is way too thin. If you don't have anything heavy duty, the pocket clip is horrendous as well. Used to come with a lock down here to keep this in from coming up in your pocket. I removed that because it's dumb. But this is the only one I've ever had open in my pocket, so maybe that's why. They just knew that it was a bad design, so they tried to fix it by putting a little tip lock in there. I don't know. I feel like this is one of the more overrated blades. If you like it, you like it. That's all good. I just don't. I think it loses a lot of its utility just by design. So anyway, just three more here. One of the best blades of all time. Spyderco. This is a CTS BD1 steel. USA made. This is one of the best, most comfortable knives I've ever had. Beautifully done wire pocket clip, ultra lightweight, typical Spyderco flick. Nice blade, thick, full flat ground, beautiful slicer, beautiful EDC, tough blade, all adjustable. What? You can adjust the pivot on this guy? Flip the clip from one side to the next, has that Spyderco ball bearing lock, which I think is very reminiscent of the Benchmade before Benchmade's axis lock proprietariness expired. Jimping, beautiful blade. This is a Hall of Famer as well, for sure. Mannix Lightweight by Spyderco. Phenomenal blade. I don't remember what the name of this is, but it's one of the more expensive or more inexpensive EDC. Probably find this at Walmart pretty easily. It's a good little blade. Ergos are bad, but fit finish is pretty good. No wiggle, super deep carry pocket clip, tip down only, unfortunately, and only one position carry. But it's a decent little lightweight. If you're going to have like a backup knife, maybe in your car, or maybe a backup knife in your back pocket or something, that if you lost it, you wouldn't be devastated. I think this would be a great blade for that. It'll certainly cut. Not the best of steel, but if it's a backup, you don't need it to be big enough to cut open boxes or cut food. Ergos are horrible. I don't even know if you want to call them ergonomics at this point. Unlocking it's a little odd, a little awkward because of the way that's shaped. Kind of a skeletonized, a paraframe-esque blade. But I think it has great looks, great shape. Did a good job. Just not for me. Maybe a little too small for me. But I'm not really sure of the name. I forgot. And the last one is, again, I have no idea what the name is, but my father bought it years ago. Is a classic Gerber. They definitely do not make this anymore, but this is back in the day when Gerber was really high quality. One of the original assisted opening. My dad bought this, I believe, on a military base when I was young. I'm not a fan of serrations, but these ones have held up really well. This used to be my wife's everyday carry, but now she uses a Benchmade mini grip. Tip down only, but deep carry pocket clip, which you didn't see all that often. Good blade shape, thin behind the edge. Pretty thick aluminum handles too, which is odd for the time. You've got this thumb disc. Again, very odd for the time. You do have a lock, but it's not obtrusive like some of those Kershaw locks. Spring still works perfectly, cuts great, good ergos, good EDC size. Aside from the tip down pocket clip and the serrations, I mean, this is damn near EDC perfection. Definitely got some good use out of it. Great knife though. Something about the blade shape and the handle, just awesome. All right, that's it, guys. That's it. That's all my folding knives. I know. Fast, quick, and easy, huh? Before I dive into fixed blades, I'm going to take a break from knives. I've got some updates to some EDC stuff that I'd like to cover. I got a new backpack, so that's exciting. Got rid of some backpacks. I'll talk about all that. And then I am going to start only posting one time per week. But I'm going to start maybe introducing some shorts. So if you like the shorter content, certainly feel free to join. You'll see some more from me maybe a couple times a week. But if you like the long content like this, I mean, we're at like what, 29, 30 minutes right now. That'll still happen because I love it. So maybe I can give you guys the best of both worlds. If there's any specific topics you want me to try and cover, or if you have, gear, or you want me to go into something more, let me know in the comments. I love interacting with you guys. So yeah. So please subscribe if you like this stuff, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.